everybody, it's Dana. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of stenciling in happy rainbow colors. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to use a fun polka dot stencil. This is the medium dot from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm using some white Nina Solar White paper, and this is the 80 pound. Now to get started, I want to hold my stencil in place, so I'm using just some MICROPORE tape to hold that down. And for my ink today, we're going to be using some Distress Oxide ink. Now this ink has totally become my favorite because it's so easy to blend. So with my blending tool, I'm just going to place down some of that color just across the top portion of my paper. Now for the card today, I'm not going to be stenciling all the way down, just on the top portion of my card. For my next color, I'm going to use the Wild Honey. I picked these two colors because they blend very well together. Now for my third color, I'm going to use one of my favorites, which is Peacock Feather. And now these two colors, the Wild Honey and the Peacock Feather, blend very nicely together as well. So I'm just going to go back in and make sure I get a seamless blend on all my colors. I'm going to go back into that picked raspberry and make sure that blends nicely. And now I want to add just a little bit of shimmer because you guys know me. I like to sparkle things up just a little bit. So I'm going to grab my shimmer spray and go ahead and spritz that down. And that's also going to activate the oxidation as well. Now this is the part that I always like. It's like Christmas time. So I'm going to lift that stencil up and look how pretty. Oh, I just love these inks. I'm going to bring that up and let you see how pretty that is. Gorgeous. I'm going to go ahead and grab a baby white, and I'm going to go ahead and clean off my mat so we can go ahead and keep moving along with this card. Now I'm going to have a little bit of a border around the bottom portion of my card. So I'm going to use this stitched little wave right here. And that's going to give me a nice little border for me to stamp down a cute little sentiment. And this wave is also from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm going to use this Hooray right here from the new Neat Tangled release. So I went ahead and ran everything through my die cut machine. And now you're going to see how cute that's going to look right across the bottom. So I'm going to be able to have my polka dots floating across the top. And then I have that stitched little scallop border across the bottom. All right, so now I want to go ahead and get my sentiment down. So I'm going to actually use my mini MISTI for this one here because I went ahead and I cleaned up my stamp room and this actually was sitting on my desk. So I'm going to use this tool today. So I'm going to grab my little bar magnet to hold everything down into place. And I'm going to use the same exact inks that I used to stencil with. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up that Hooray. And I just want to make sure that I have my piece nice and tight inside that MISTI. So we're going to go in rainbow order again right here on the sentiment itself. But I am going to take a baby wipe and I'm going to kind of soften up just the edges. So when I stamp, I have a nice little gradation between the colors. Next, I'm going to come in with that Wild Honey and tap that down. Now this here is where I wish maybe that these inks, these Distress Oxide inks would come in this smaller sizes, but that's okay. I'm still going to be able to work with this. I'm going to clean off some of that extra that I had of that Wild Honey, and I'm going to go back in with that Peacock Feathers. But before I do that, I just want to make sure I don't have a harsh line there. So I'm going to go ahead and tap that into place. And that looks gorgeous. I actually love the way these colors blend together. I think they're super, super pretty. Now I just want to make sure I have just enough coverage. Now I don't have to be too perfect on this because I can fix any areas that are not thoroughly covered a little bit later. I'm just going to tap again with that peacock feathers just to make sure I do have some coverage. I don't want to have too many gaps. I just want to make sure I do have enough and that my blending is done okay. I think that looks pretty good, but I think I want to add a little bit more pink just to make sure, just for good measures. That looks good. I can go ahead and grab the lid and then I can go ahead and press down. I'm going to press down really well just to make sure I get a good impression on that first try. And then I can go ahead and lift my lid. Now, I might have some blotchy areas, but I'm going to be able to fix that. I'm going to grab my FANTASTIX and I'm just going to pick up some of the color right directly off that pad. And then I can fill in any areas that I missed. Having these little tools in your supplies makes this really great to fill up any areas that you might have missed when you were stamping. So I'm going to go right back into that picked raspberry and I can clean up any areas that I missed. I'm going to go ahead and grab myself a baby wipe though before I actually go into the blue, and I'm just going to clean off that tip a little bit, and then I can go back in and just dot in a little bit of the color that is missing. I think that looks gorgeous. Now I can go ahead and clean off that beautiful hooray. Isn't that pretty? It just makes such a really pretty and bold statement. Absolutely love it. Now for the smaller sentiment, I'm actually just going to go ahead and do that in black. So I'm going to line that up right over my rainbowed color hooray. I'm going to move that magnet out of the way, and then I can pick that up with my lid. Now for the black, I'm going to go in with my VersaFine. This is my black ONYX ink. This is my favorite to stamp with. And I can just tap that down. And the black is just going to be a really nice striking color against that white and that rainbow color. All right, that looks perfect. And now I can get everything out of the way and we can start bringing everything in to build up the card. So look how pretty that looks. Who would not want this as a great birthday card? So you guys know me, I like to do everything on a nice clean and simple background. So I'm going to use my Nina White. This is the 110-pound card base. So I'm just going to use my ATG gun and put my adhesive down. And then I'm just going to lay down my card right on that grid mat and place down that polka dot panel right on top. Now you can totally mass produce these cards and make a whole bunch of them at one time, and then you have plenty of them to give out later. Now I do want that little panel right there to pop up off of my card, so I'm going to go ahead and use some foam tape for this. Now I'm going to use a good amount of foam tape on this. I don't want to be stingy on this part here because when I send this in the mail, I do want it to be even. I don't want like my middle to sag at all, so I'm going to make sure that, I go a little bit heavy-handed with the foam tape. Now, if you want to, you can also use some fun foam on this. I didn't have any within arm's reach, and I didn't feel like cutting out any, so I'm just going to go a little bit heavy right here on the foam tape. So I'm just going to go ahead and peel off the backing. So like I said, you can totally mass produce this card. If you're just sitting in your craft room and you want to see something really, really pretty, grab out those pretty inks that you have. Grab out a really simple stencil and get busy. All right, so that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and grab my scissors though, and I just need to trim down some of the foam. It's just sticking out right at the bottom. I'm going to trim that down, and then I can place that right across the bottom. Going to tap that into place. Now I do want to add a touch of black to this card, so I'm going to grab my Nuvo drops, and I'm just going to put just a couple random little embellishments on this card. And that's just to add in a little bit of the black from the sentiment onto the rest of the card panel. So I'm going to add 3 little dots across the top of the card panel. And that's just maybe 2 across the bottom. I just like to have odd numbers on any of my card panels. So I'm just going to debate where I put that last one. So that gives me like a total of 5. Now you can do enamel dots, you can do sequins. On this one here, I didn't want to do sequins. I just want to use my Nuvo drops for this one. So I'm going to put down that last one. And then I'm just going to pick up my card. And I'm just going to tap it very lightly from behind. And this card is done. All right, everybody, it's a wrap for today. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. Here is a quick close-up of what the card looked like when it was dried. I will see you guys in another video. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.